Right humid outside. It feels like an early summer morning at this point in some spots. That's what gives these storms the strength that they need when a colder air mass comes in behind all of that and really just helps fire off this round of severe weather. Remember, we've been talking about this for a couple of days now, this threat for severe weather this weekend, and here we go. And you can see where that colder air is off to the north because there's some snow. Now, eventually that colder air is going to work its way into the mid-state here, but before all of that, it does this. It fires off these severe thunderstorms, these heavier downpours, the potential for damaging gusty winds, and even those tornado warnings that we were seeing in parts of southern Kentucky as well. Melanie's going to zoom in to this severe thunderstorm warning that's moving out of Benton County, getting into, I believe, Humphreys County right now. So there's Centerville. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 12:30. Damaging wind going to be our main threat here, as well as the potential for some heavier rainfall on top of that. If you're in the path of this one, right near Highway 100, there's Fairview, so we're going to think this is going to keep going to the north and east. You need to just be ready for this as it comes through, because just these severe thunderstorm warnings in and themselves are going to do enough to produce those damaging wind gusts, heavier rainfall, and perhaps some flooding as well. There's another severe thunderstorm warning, Parsons, Decaturville as well, so getting into Decatur County, Lexington as well. All of this moving to the east. These small individual cells can really have some force with them, and we're even starting to see a few more pop up around the metro right now from Hendersonville, even just to the north of Cookeville, but we're still eyeing this main line for the rest of our day today as we go right through the middle of our day. There's another severe thunderstorm, or a storm that's trying to fire up near Jamestown. So what we're seeing is ahead of the main line, you get these individual cells that pop up. They're almost like popcorn kernels, because the atmosphere is so warm and we have so much moisture. As that warmer air rises, we get these storms that pop up like this, and they have the energy, like we were talking about, to produce those damaging winds as well as the potential for a tornado, Melanie. So we're looking at this line here. We do have tornado warnings that are in the southern parts of Kentucky right now, just north of Franklin, Simpson into Warren County, just south of Woodburn, northeast of Franklin. That's where our tornado warning goes until around 12:15. The time right now is 12:08. If you are in the path of this storm, you need to be getting into your safe space right now. This storm is definitely going to have the heavier rainfall as well as the potential for those damaging wind gusts on top of that. What we are watching right now is for that radar indicated tornado warning, and you can sort of see where that rotation is with our rotation detector. I mean, the good news is it does look like that it's working its way out of Simpson County. It's going mainly into Warren County at this point, but there's that rotation in the rotation detector that we've been talking about so much. Those red and those green returns is what we want to look at, rather. So areas that I was mentioning earlier, there's Drake, Boyce, Allen Springs, Antioch Church Road, as well as Drake Road, State Highway 622. If you're hearing some of your roads, your street names, you recognize some of these, you are in this tornado warning, in the path of this storm, and you need to be getting to your safe space. There's Craft Road. This is just north of Temperance right now. I think it's moving a little bit more into Warren County now. However, I do want to start keeping an eye out for areas near Allen County, Kentucky, because it looks like this storm is going to try to get into the northern portions of Allen County, and that's where we'll just sort of see what the National Weather Service ends up doing with this. But for right now, this storm means business. There's that heavier rainfall. If anything, it looks like it's going to get out of Simpson County. It'll clip the northern parts of Allen County as well as it moves off to the east. So I'm thinking in this area right here, sort of where that center of rotation ends up going in about the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. So Allen Springs, Raleigh, Ford, Halifax, Settle, just north of halfway. There's Butlersville, West Fork. All of these areas, I know that you're not really seeing the storm right now, but it's just off to our west. You can sort of see with 4-1 real-time radars that bring it back into view. There's that area of rotation that we're closely watching. And all these areas out ahead of this, well, we all kind of need to be ready as this storm gets ready to work its way through. The rotation's moving to the north and east right now, just north of Matlock. So I've been talking about areas like Drace, Boyce, as well as Temperance as well. But all of these areas that are out ahead of this, all the way in to parts of Allen County, Kentucky, even though we're not in that warning right now, I still think that this storm is going to work its way into the northern portion. So if you can see your town name here, well, you need to be ready for this as it it comes through, because this storm is certainly packing a punch with it. The heavier rainfall is still going to be an issue for us, as well as the potential for those damaging wind gusts. And like we were saying, this is all one line of storms that's coming through. So let me take 4-1 real-time radar out for a little bit of a bigger view for us, so we can get an idea of, areas that haven't seen much of anything other than, well, yeah, some sunshine in some spots. And you can see things on the radar are starting to get a little bit more on the messy side. That's the best way to say it. You can see these thunderstorms that are starting to fire up. So in areas around Nashville, Brentwood, Franklin, Spring Hill, Columbia, Hendersonville, all of these areas we haven't had much to talk about so far. We've actually had some sunshine, but now we're starting to see, here we go. Here come some of these severe thunderstorm warnings that are firing up west of Davidson County right now, into parts of, it looks like, Hickman County, where this warning is really starting to pop up and move off to the north and east at this point. So Hickman, Humphreys County, all of these areas are under that severe thunderstorm warning, and we're just keeping an eye on all of these as they eventually do try to spin up. But we're still with you right now because of this tornado warning that's still in effect for the northern portions of Simpson County. However, what I do want to say is that that is the storm in question, and it looks like it's really worked its way out of Simpson County right now. But I still would like to watch for areas like Allen County, Kentucky, because it does look like, I was saying, we're probably going to get just clipped by it. You can see with the latest radar update there that it looks like it's moving out of Simpson, southern parts of Warren County, Kentucky, but it's starting to move into Allen County, Kentucky at this point. Let's take a look at our storm threats so we can sort of see what's going on. I think we just need another radar update to sort of get that back together. But you get the general idea here. It's got the heavier rainfall. Might even have some small hailstones in there. I'm not thinking it's very big hail. I think that's one of our lower end threats. And you can sort of see our radar here is only indicating maybe about a half-inch size hail, which isn't all that much. And the radar does tend to overestimate hail size every now and then. So that's something that we could see. Little hail here and there, but I think the heavier rainfall and that potential for the damaging wind gusts are certainly going to be the bigger story for us. Let me show you our visible satellite, because what I wanted to kind of show you over the last couple of hours is that we started off today with some pretty decent sunshine, and you can really see that with our cloud cover. It wasn't abundant sunshine, but what it was enough to charge the atmosphere this morning. And the clouds have obviously started to take back over because these storms have fired up, but you can just sort of see those storms bubble up over the last few hours, and we still have those sunny pockets, so these storms still have the fuel to keep going as they continue to strengthen. That's why we're seeing things get much more active at this point. As that cold front gets ready to come through, these showers and thunderstorms are going to continue to fire up. Now, the good news is the National Weather Service has expired that tornado warning for Simpson and Warren County, Kentucky's as of right now. I would, however, just like to take a couple more minutes of your time here so we can make sure that another warning is not issued once it gets into Allen County. We'll just sort of keep an eye on this storm just for another minute or two to make sure nothing else happens. Obviously, if something does, when we go off, we'll come back on air. But if you are still, in the path of this storm, right here, it's going to clip the northern portions of Allen County, Kentucky. So it's right over Allen Springs right now, areas near Gainesville, Cedar Springs, Halifax as well. All of these areas just north of Halfway, Butlersville, we're all going to see this strong thunderstorm at the very least come through. And Dan Thomas just walked in as well. So, Dan, this is something we'll kind of be doing pretty much all day. Yeah, it's just one of those circumstances where it's a multi-hour event, and it really gets most of the mid-state. And so far, the action's been in our northwestern county, southwest Kentucky. And earlier today, the current time right now looks like it's 12:13. Let's go to Storm Scan, the Storm Scan computer. This is actually courtesy of WHOP radio in southwest Kentucky. We've actually had some pretty good damage pictures come in around Hopkinsville around 9:25 this morning, this damage being done. So looks pretty significant here. We've got, looks like maybe an old mill, and so there's some fence destruction. You can see some, maybe some metal tin roofs in the foreground there, some broken pieces of wood. And then we've got several more pictures to share. You can see some of that metal strewn across the area up into the power lines. Looks like one of these power lines is actually tilting toward the right there.
And so we don't know if this is damaging straight line wind. We don't know what caused this. Some roof damage on the left on top of that brick building. And it looks like some structural damage on the top of the roof of that giant brick building. You can see there, looks like something, maybe some sort of exhaust for the building inside hanging down. This is more significant, but this tree damage here, it's sort of in question because it makes you think, was this tree a healthy tree? The way it was broken like that, you can't tell. It may be partially rotting, but it's significant tree damage. And it came across the street, it looks like. And so one would think, because it's very localized, there was a brief spin-up tornado, probably short-lived, lasting a minute or two. But the National Weather Service folks will have to go out there in time and survey the damage. Looks like pretty significant roof damage there. Some of the shingles blown off of that structure, and some of the windows here. It's tough to tell if those are just window screens damaged. And then another picture here showing that tree damage on the property of that house. So all in that same localized area. And as you look at mainly the power poles are in pretty good shape. But something to survey. There's more roof damage here in Hopkinsville, again around 9:25 this morning, courtesy of the folks at WHOP. Now this is a little more suspect. This makes you think, yeah, this probably was a tornado, because not only this was the sign knocked down, but it was mangled. It was just twisted and probably skipped along the concrete several times. And it just speaks to the power of the storms we see out there today. Now, the event we have today takes me back 10 years. We had the most significant in terms of number of tornadoes, tornado outbreak in Tennessee, or Middle Tennessee, in I think mid to late January of 2012, around that time. And it was a nighttime event, similar setup. We call this a quasi-linear convective system, so it's sort of like a line, but it's not. And the storms along that line, we can go back to Max 1 right now, by the way. The storms along that line generate quick spin-up tornadoes. And so I think that's the setup today. We get a lot of quick spin-up tornadoes. They may last a minute. They may last 5 or 10 minutes. But most of them, if not all of them, should be much lower end than what we saw just a few weeks ago, Stefano, in Mayfield, when we had the F3, the F4, yep. Just devastating, that lasted hours on end.
And it's fresh in a lot of people's minds, too. So, that's why, we're going to stick with you through all this coverage. As of right now, I'm not seeing any warnings. There are a few storms that are a little suspect right now, but no tornado warnings have been issued. But you can just sort of see with forewarned real-time radar that all these storms are gaining some energy, especially as they move into these more energy-rich environments. That pretty much is all of the mid-state right now. But I think for now, we can send it back to the Rose Parade.
Absolutely. Stay with News 4. Stay with us on social media and also the News 4 app.
We now return to regular programming. Get more updates at